Hello everyone and welcome to My Synth Story, a new video series in which I tell you my synth story in hopefully easily digestible chapters. You wanted more vlogs? There you go. It was 2010 and a friend of mine posted this video on Facebook. It showed somebody playing Ableton Live with a Launchpad controller, and I thought to myself, wow, this looks so easy, it looks so fun, this is exactly the right thing for me. You know, I hadn't been much of a musician so far. I mean, I've played the piano when I was a little kid, I dabbled in hip-hop EJ it was called, and probably also the Fruity Loops shareware. You remember shareware? That was a thing once. And yeah, then I taught myself the guitar with the internet. That was like a big thing when I was in university. Like, you could learn anything now, right? But, you know, I just wanted to play power chords, to play punk rock songs, so not many skills were acquired during that time. So when I saw this Ableton Live video in 2010, I was really excited because I thought, wow, even somebody like me with very little training can make awesome music. So I went out and I bought a box with Ableton Live on a CD. Which was stupid, because if I had done some research, I could have just bought like a tiny MIDI controller with which Ableton came bundled. But well, now I had the box of software and no controller. But that was fine. But then I learned I probably need some synthesis knowledge to have any fun with it, because I didn't just want to stick to the loops and the preset sounds. I wanted to create my own sounds, and that required actually learning something. So I found this resource for this synthesizer VST called Synth1, which was just your basic subtractive synthesizer. And I just spent hours and hours in front of it, just, you know, tweaking all the knobs, learning what a VCO did, what a filter was, how they were connected in this signal chain. And I started making some music. So as a treat for you now, exclusively for this very video, like nobody has heard this ever before, and probably nobody should, but here I present you an excerpt of one of my very first electronic music tracks.
You wanna dance tonight, night, 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 night,
By that time I already had a few small MIDI controllers to make playing keyboard and drum beats a little easier in Ableton Live. And that was also the time when the first iPad was released, and, to much of a surprise, Korg also came out with the iMS-20 and iElectribe apps. Those were really amazing. They were software reproductions of their classic MS-20 synths, which I didn't know anything about back then. It was super weird, you know, you had like those cables and you could patch it in software virtually. So again, I had to learn something new, and I found Automatic Gainsay, Marc Doty's channel on YouTube, and learned so much about the MS-20 and about synthesis in general. And I was like really happy now that I finally met him in person 9 years later at Thomann Synth Reactor just a few days ago.
Of things that have happened, this is a great thing that has happened.
And what was also really cool about those iOS apps was that you could connect a MIDI keyboard to the iPad as well, and then play the MS-20 simulation with your MIDI controller. And I was so excited about this, so I created my very first YouTube tutorial. Ah yes, YouTube was way different back then. In fact, I had the channel for a few years before that already. I think in 2006, when there was still Google Video and YouTube, and Google hadn't acquired YouTube yet, and all that online video stuff was still like super weird. Actually, yeah, my channel back then didn't really have a name or a concept or much content. Do you want to know what was on my channel around that time? Nice. I also did a second one in stereo 3D. Yeah, those videos are long gone from my channel now, but the iPad mini tutorial became quite popular. Of course, I was still playing a lot with Ableton Live back then, but I didn't really like having to map MIDI controls to VST plugins and use the mouse all the time and so on. So I was already eyeing hardware instruments, and after a bit of research, I bought my very first hardware synth, the Korg MicroKorg. To this day, I still think that the Korg MicroKorg is a really nice synthesizer to learn about subtractive synthesis. And you know, the switch from the plugin Synth1 to the Korg was super smooth, and I had really a lot of fun just spending hours creating my own sounds with knobs, with real knobs this time, on that device. In fact, I had so much fun with it, I decided to record my first jam session video with it, also in stereo 3D. So around that time I also realized that my synthesizer setup would probably change frequently over time, because I already had this huge wish list of gear I wanted to try out. So I thought, hey, maybe I shouldn't just record the audio of my jam session, but also regularly some video of me jamming on those devices, so that I could possibly in the future look back on those videos and see how my setup has changed over time. And this was basically when the Tuesday Night Machines YouTube channel was born. And now, in 2019, with over 200 jam sessions, it's really fun, for me at least, to go back a few years and see what gear I used and what kind of music I played with that. Then one of the next jam sessions I recorded and posted on YouTube was called Sunday Synth Jam. Super simple, because it was filmed on a Sunday and I didn't know about YouTube and titles and all that stuff yet. But somehow this video blew up, in air quotes, like got very popular. And to this day I have no idea why, but well, yeah, there it is. As you can see, this was a DAWless jam already, but it would take me some more time to ditch the computer altogether after that. Alright folks, that was the story of my first year of making electronic music in 2011, and this concludes the first episode of the video series My Synth Story. I hope you enjoyed that trip down my memory lane, and if you want to know more about that time, then just go to my YouTube channel and click back to the beginning and see what other videos I posted. I didn't post that much content back then, but there are certainly a few more jam sessions for you to witness. So thanks a lot for watching. Stay tuned for the next video, by subscribing and clicking that bell icon. And then, yeah, I hope to see you in the next episode of My Synth Story.
Wanna dance tonight, so come and dance tonight. So come and dance tonight.